So, good morning again.
Morning.
I was just about to say happy Sabbath. So, my name is Richard, and I'm the herbalist, and I'm going to go through today the identification of herbs and the differences in the herbs. We're also going to be going through some tastes of herbs, going through the five senses. Okay. We're actually going to be, what I'm going to do is, let's start with a word of prayer first, and then I'm going to go into our introduction. Most gracious, loving Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity that you've given me to share information about nature's pharmacy with your children. Father, I pray that whatever we go through today may stay in our minds and that we may be blessed by it. So be with us now, each and every one of us, individually and collectively. These mercies I pray in your name. Amen. Okay, so intro. The identification of leaves and herbs connect us to nature's resources. We know that from yesterday's talk. Okay. It offers us nourishment. People can read. That better? Beautiful. Okay, so it offers us nourishment and healing and sustainability. By recognizing their uses, we embrace the roles in enhancing health and fostering respect for the environment. The Bible underscores their sacred purposes as seen in Genesis 1:29, where herbs and fruits are given for the service of man. Okay, learning to identify these plants allow us to honor their God-given values and integrate them wisely in our everyday lives. Okay. So these are just some basic tips, okay, on identifying herbs. And herbs often have distinct leaf shapes. How many of you here know the different shapes or know plants on visual contact, i.e. on seeing a plant? Name me some leaves that you know the shapes of. Yeah. Do you know any that you can tell me?
Yeah, like what we have in our valley, dandelion.
Okay, so you recognize dandelion leaf?
Sticking that we said nice.
Right.
Yeah, then I have what's that, hawthorn?
Hawthorn. Right.
Elderberry.
Right. Hawthorn and elderberries. Okay.
Rosemary.
Rosemary. Okay. So in terms of, with many plants, we know their shapes and their tastes and their uses because we've had regular contact with them, or we've had an experience with them. How many of you know what nettles look like?
We know what they feel like.
Oh, you know what they feel like. So the sensory touch comes into play there. So through touch, remember we said yesterday that our ancestors, they learned about the plants that were in their environment through touch, through smell, and not only visually, but also through taste. Okay. So many plants have distinct leaf shapes. So what we aim to do is, throughout life, is learn the actual leaf shapes. So we know basil. Does anybody want to describe the shape of basil for me? Okay, but from your description. All right. So my sister Evelyn was saying that it's I've already given the information up on the screen. So 1-0 to you. So basil's leaves are oval leaves and they're slightly wrinkled in appearance. Okay, so the surface of the leaves, they look like they're slightly wrinkled and kind of shiny to the touch. Mint. Mint can be described as pointed leaves with serrated edges. Okay. Parsley, curly or flat, feathery leaves. Okay. So that was my verbal description. So in actually seeing the plants, the description comes to life when you actually see the plant. So with basil, you see the shiny, you see the oval, and you see the crinkly, wrinkled type. Sorry, you see the shiny, the crinkly, and the wrinkled type surface. With the mint, you can't really see it on this particular picture, but there are serrated edges, and you can see that they're quite patterned with their veins, which are quite deeply marked, and they're in a whorled, WHORLED shape, i.e. the leaves are opposite to each other, but they're in a circular form. Okay, and with parsley, we can see that parsley. Do any of you ever make the mistake? Quite furry. Yeah, there is some people do get confused with parsley and coriander, but
the smell is different.
the smell is different. Yeah, but with the
Yes.
on view, visually, they can look similar if you don't look at them quite closely. So, how do they grow on the stem? There are different types of arrangements, and we're going to look at them in a moment. But these are just a few of the types of arrangements. Alternate arrangements, which is typical in sage. Opposite arrangement, which is typical again in thyme, and whorled arrangement, which we see in mint. So with sage, alternate means that on the stem itself, we have one here, and then another one like in a step up, and so on. Okay, it doesn't matter how far apart they are. They could be millimeters apart, but they're whorled, or not whorled, sorry, they're alternate. Okay, so stepped. Mint is whorled. The reason why they call it whorled is because there are no gaps between the leaves like you see with sage, but for each one, it's covered behind and there is no space. So there, as you can see, the person holding it, the leaves are completely covered. So there is hardly any background shown. And in thyme, remember what I said about thyme yesterday, the differences between herbs and the exception to the rule. What was the differences between a herb and the exception to the rule? Do you remember when I said that some plants, there were three that I mentioned, which were woody as opposed to soft-stemmed? Yep. So thyme is a woody stem, and it's opposite. So that means that on each side of the leaf, there are equal sides, there are equal leaves on each side of the plant. So smelling the herbs, as my sister said earlier, you can crush a leaf between your fingers to release an aroma. Where I used to live outside the front door, we used to have a hedgerow of rosemary and thyme. And my neighbor would always come out after I went to work, and she would say to me, "You troubled the bushes this morning, didn't you?" Because as I was on my way to work, walking down the walkway, I would rustle all of the bushes, and what that would do is it would release its aroma, and the whole walkway would be rich with the smell of rosemary and thyme. So mint, when you crush it between your fingers and you smell it, it has a refreshing and cool scent to it. So these are the best ways to describe. So I'm just trying to aid you in how to describe the aromas. You know, sometimes when you're listening on television and there's talking about the culinary smells of the food, and they're saying it's a rich effervescent aroma, and it's so silky to the touch, and the smell is whatever it is. Well, with mint, it's a refreshing and cool smell. Rosemary is pine-like and woody. And cilantro is a very sharp and citrusy smell. Okay. Does anybody have any specific herbs that they can describe the smell of based on that? Lavender. Okay. So how would you describe lavender, or how would anybody describe lavender? Very strong, definitely. Okay.
And also in mint, there are varieties of mint.
There are so many varieties of mint. Yeah.
It has different types of smell.
Yes.
We've got lemon mint.
Right.
Lemon,
You got lemon mint, you got apple mint,
chocolate.
My favorite, chocolate mint. And you notice how chocolate mint smells like the chocolate, the actual chocolate, mint chocolate. So there is nothing new under the sun. When you taste these chocolates, you know that these people have looked into nature and mimicked nature, because to get the chocolate mint taste, they must have had to observe natures for those scents. And because those scents have an effect on us, when they're placed in the food, they have an effect on your taste, your smell, and your brain. How many of you have walked around sometimes and you've picked up a scent and it throws you back to when you was a child? Your brain has sensory receptors that lock those scents in the back of your mind. And when you smell it again, sometimes it can draw up an emotion. Sometimes it can make you feel weak, tired, or make you feel sleepy, or even like to cry or to laugh or to be happy. This is the strength of an aroma. So with some plants, we can look on their stems, and their stems will tell us either which family they come from, or it can tell us whether or not they're poison, or it can tell us basically, give us a good identification as to where that plant derives from. Sage, as an example, we did look at sage earlier on. I'm going to go back to it. You can see with sage here, it looks quite fluffy along the stem. Okay, for those that can see clearly. Okay. Its leaves are soft and fuzzy. Mint has a hairy stem, and it's hairy under the actual sides of the leaves. Okay. And there is a difference as well, because the tops of the leaves, if you pour water on the tops of the leaves, people have this illusion that if they water the leaves, that the leaves will absorb the water. That's true to some degree, but underneath the leaves, there's the word slipped me now, a style, can't remember the word for it now. They have pores underneath the leaves, which release their scents and also release fluid, release water. Okay, so they're pores underneath the leaves. Okay, growth habits. We notice also how plants grow. Creeping plants like thyme and oregano. Bushy plants like basil and parsley, and tall stalks. I've added the dill, the fennel here in the picture. You can see the long stem of the fennels, but then you see the actual leaves themselves. Would you describe those as broad? Would you describe them as feathery? Or would you describe them as lance-like or lobule? Right. You would say that they are feathery. So by just on sight, you would recognize them. So in some instances, we can identify plants or herbs based on their habitat. So herbs often grow in specific environments. Those of you that are growing your herbs in your garden, you know that some herbs do not like direct sunlight. They will not thrive. If you grow them in the shade, then they bloom. Some do like the sunlight, and they're quite apt to be in that condition. But in the Mediterranean herbs, they thrive in dry and sunny areas. Water-loving herbs like mint and watercress, they grow near moisture or near streams. Many times when you go along the English countryside, you will find certain herbs by the river streams. Does anybody know what hemlock looks like? Okay, hemlock is a very poisonous plant, but it can be mistaken for another plant. But the way that we tell the difference between hemlock is the stem itself is green, but it also its signature looks dangerous because it has these red whorls going around it, or mottled red markings on it, and it just looks like it shouldn't be touched. Just like in nature, some animals, snakes and lizards, they look like oh, if I touch that, it's very pretty, but it looks quite dangerous. Other animals in nature know straight away, no, that's not to be touched. In nature as well, we know that some plants, based on their look, shouldn't be touched. So what is the rule that if you're not sure? Spin.
Spelling. Spelling. How do you spell? How do you spell it?
Oh, sorry, hemlock. Sorry, Hemlock. Hemlock. Oh, thank you.
Yes, poison, very poison.
Yeah, poison hemlock. This is what one of the. Right, so that's what hemlock looks like. Its leaves are quite feathered.
Be very careful.
Yeah, and it
Juice
does.
of that plant falls in your skin, you're gonna.
If it touches you, if the juice. So if you saw the plant and you touched it, that would be more or less the end. Yeah, because it has volatile. Oh.
You touch it, you get.
Yes, because it has very volatile alkaloids in it, and these oils are very poisonous. They go straight through the skin into the blood, and they have that. Remember, I said before that in nature there are some animals that if you touch them, like the poison toads. If you touch them, just touching them, it goes through your skin and then into your bloodstream, interferes with the nervous system, interferes with the heart, and sometimes can interfere with the brain as well, and you pass. So poison hemlock.
Excuse me, if you put the question, can you come to the front if you want to make a comment?
Okay.
So that those on Zoom can hear you.
All right. So if you want to make a comment, come to the microphone, and so that those on Zoom can actually hear you. Okay. Yeah. So also, there's a rule around testing herbs. If I remember it correctly, if you're not sure whether you're allergic to a particular type of herb, the rule is that when you pick the leaf, you touch the leaf for a couple of seconds on the outside of your mouth, and you wait for 5-10 minutes. If there's no reaction, then you touch I think you touch your tongue with the lip with it, and you wait for 5-10 minutes. And if there's no reaction, then, and also, I suppose if you touch it, you can rub it on your skin. And if there's a reaction, then don't use it. I.e., if there's a bubbling or if there's an irritation to the skin, you don't touch it. The final test is that if you pass all of those first 3 stages, then you can put it in your mouth and take it out so that the saliva mixes with it, and you see if there's any type of reaction. If there is any reaction, then obviously you know that not to consume it. This is the same rule that applies, I suppose, with some fruits, because I love all types of berries. But what I noticed is when I introduced white mulberry and I ate it with all my other berries, it was the only addition that I had added to my fruit salad. I noticed that the back of my throat and my tongue and the inside of my cheek started playing a jazz song with my head. My whole mouth started to tingle and I started to feel funny, and I thought to myself, I wonder if it's that. So I took it and I took part of it and I bit it and I chewed it up and then I spat it out, and my whole tongue where I'd concentrated it on began to dance. So I know that white mulberry and myself are not good friends. Okay? Okay. So we know that water-loving herbs like mint and watercress, they grow near moistures and streams. Similar to hemlock as well, that grows near moist conditions. I can't think of any other plants that would fit that category. Seasons, just a couple of examples. Some plants grow in specific seasons. Now, seasons is an issue because I was speaking to my brother last night about seasons and eating foods in their seasons. In the spring and the summer, basil, cilantro, and dill, they thrive in the summer. In the fall, stroke winter, we can find an abundance of sage, rosemary, and thyme. Now, eating foods in their season is very important because I don't know if you noticed that certain foods that you only get in the summer, you now get all year around. There is a rule that some people use where in the wintertime, if they do consume, well, there is a rule that with some people that they only eat meat in the winter because it's filling and it contains for them the right nutrients to help them through the harsh winters. There are foods that you don't eat so much heavy foods in the summer. So your diet is very lightweight, so to speak. If you live in the Mediterranean or you go to the Mediterranean, you'll see that they eat lots of greens, lots of salads, and they eat very little meat. But in the West over here, in the UK, meat is the main substance all year around. Not only does that cause issue for us, but also you call it, it's the wrong use of foods in the wrong period of time. Reference guides. Now, there are many reference guides that we can use. Does anybody use an identification app that you can click on? You can click on it and then you can highlight the plant and then it will tell you what the plant is. Okay, so if you're ever out and about in the countryside or even out around about here and you see a plant, you look very carefully, you will see little plants growing around, because I was trying to see outside if there were, the lawns are kept very tidy out here, so you wouldn't see any what do you call it, well, weeds as in herbs growing in between the grass. I'm just trying to think of one that that comes to my mind. Prunella vulgaris. In my garden, there is a plant that I've got called Prunella vulgaris. We're going to see it in a moment. And it was a beautiful purple plant that just came out of the grass. And I thought, where does that come from? And then I followed it through. And as I kept on following it through, and I thought, hold on, where's this coming from? And then I saw another stream going out, and I followed it and I pulled it up, and there was about 5 or 6 heads of this Prunella vulgaris. And when I looked it up, it's a herb that we use, and I'd already had in my herb box, but dried. So because I hadn't looked at it in the summer, I didn't realize that, hold on, this is the dried version, this is the live version. So when you're picking herbs in their seasons, it's good to know what they look like in their bloom, as opposed to when you're using them in their dried, okay? But this guide, Plant Snap and Picture This, they are very good apps that help with identifying different herbs. Okay, another way is to start a herb garden. How many of you have a herb garden? I know my sister does, and I definitely know my sister over there does. What type of things do you grow in your herb garden? You can shout them out and I'll repeat them if you want. Mint, definitely. Rosemary. Parsley.
Yeah, I was saying, but I have sage.
Sage.
Oregano.
Oregano.
And just, I don't know if you have heard of Mexican oregano.
Mexican mint.
Mexican mint oregano, ajwain.
Yeah.
Because last time my husband, when he came, he sold, we sold here, and I sold for £3 the Indian mint, ajwain it's called.
All right.
I don't know if you know, but this is the picture. And it's good for cold and cough. You can use, this is very being used by medical missionary in UK. So I request you all that you all plant this. This is a beautiful herb.
Yeah.
Next time if I come, I'll bring.
And it's very pungent as
Yeah,
well.
pungent.
Just as soon as you touch it and you rub it, it's almost like it explodes.
Brother, one more thing.
Mint. It's I call it Mexican mint.
Yeah, Mexican mint or
Yeah.
Indian ajwain.
Right. Indian ajwain or Mexican mint. Okay.
Just before I go, one more thing I want to share you. In Wales, we have got wild garlic. And we have got lots. Please harvest those.
Yes.
Yes. So a good thing to do is when you do see them and you can pull them up or whatever, never, if you see just a few herbs in a particular area, we never deplete the herbs in that particular area. You can take a cut in or you can take one, but leave the others, because one, we want herbs to continue to grow in the area, and we don't want to cause any disruption to that particular environment, okay? Because herbs are very important to the environment, and they also help to condition the soil, okay? So if,
I don't know, wild garlic is illegal in this country because it just grows wild and you must not take and start growing somewhere else. But where it is growing, you can harvest, nobody will say anything.
yes,
But it's illegal, just don't have that.
right.
So when you walk through,
Yep, if you come to the front.
when you walk through the aroma, wild garlic, yes. When you walk through the woody area where there is the garlic,
you can smell the garlic. It is absolutely wonderful. And yes, you're not allowed to pick them up and take them, but you can cut it and take it on and make a meal out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
really, really nice.
Yeah. At our church in River Lane, we normally, once a month, we go on walks. And one of the brothers was telling me that when we went to Neem Park, where we were actually walking, he was like, brother, down here, we have so much wild garlic. The whole area was just a sea of wild garlic. It was amazing. But a lot of these things are around and most of us would walk past it and not even know. So by familiarizing ourselves with these herbs, we'll know how herbs grow, how they smell, we know what they look like, and we'll know how they feel like, okay? And that will help you to identify specific herbs. So the more that you focus on that one particular herb, lock that in your mind, and then you can move on to the next herb, and then you will build up a memory bank of different herbs. Okay, so I thought I'd just put this in here just to tease you guys, because I know that not everybody might know, but there are a couple that you will definitely be able to pick out. The first herb that you can see on the screen here, can somebody describe the edges of this herb for me? Jagged? Would serrated? Do any of you have a serrated knife in your kitchen? What does your serrated knife look like? So do you think that somebody took the serrated knife idea from the serrated plant idea? Maybe, I'm just saying it might be, because that looks like a sawtooth to me, like very jagged and serrated. Okay, so does anybody know what that plant might, what that leaf, sorry, might be? Okay, so that's something called alder. Okay, I've got my notes down here at the bottom, but I can't seem to get to them. But that's the alder leaf, okay? With this one here, this would be described as an oval leaf, but you can see each of these plants, they have these veins specific. Some of them are V-shaped, specifically V-shaped. Some of them are slightly off V-shape. You can see here, yeah? And then some of them are completely different, well, we're not going to go to that one yet. This is from the beech tree, okay? Again, we have this one here. What tree would you say this one is from? I have elm in the left, on my left-hand side. Do we have any takers on elm? Oh, we have a revamp of oak. Okay, do we have any other bids? Or a sycamore? Okay, so hands up for elm. Hands up for oak. Silence of the lands. You're right, it's an oak. Okay, oak trees, I suppose it could be the favorite of many people because oak bark is very medicinal, it's very astringent. If you have H. pylori or you have weak gums, you can take the bark, white oak bark, powder it down. You are going to learn how to powder down things today as well. So I brought a couple of things to show you how to do that. Oh, a couple of things for you to show me how to do that. And with the white oak bark, if you put it up inside your gum and leave it there overnight or over a few days, what the astringency of that oak and the tannins in the oak will do is it will strengthen the gums and reset your teeth, okay? There is an experience that someone gave and they went to the doctor, they had an infection in their gums and the doctor said, well, the only thing that we can do is to remove all of your teeth, all of them. The lady was in her 30s, she had 2 children and to lose all of her teeth in her 30s was not a very good prospect for life. And she passed by where somebody was giving a health talk and she came into the health talk and it was raining. She was traveling in the US and it was raining quite heavily and she ran into this place for shade. But she was also kind of beside herself because she was given that bad news. And when she went into that talk, she sat down at the back and while she was thinking about what she's going to do about her teeth and about her gums and about her life, the person started talking about white oak bark and infections of the gum. And she propped up and she started listening. And when he mentioned about the white oak bark, the very next thing that she did the next day was she went out to a herbal shop and she bought the white oak bark and she stuffed it under her gums and she kept it there. I don't know for how long, but she came back to that person who was doing the talk, and that person was Dr. John Raymond Christopher, who was giving a talk. I don't know if some of you know Dr. Christopher, Raymond Christopher, right? And she came back to him and she gave him her experience that she was beside herself and that she was going to, she didn't know what she was going to do, but then she came into that place just by chance, heard him speak, and he spoke to her because basically that was something that she needed at that time. And it was a result for her. So she was quite happy about that. Can anybody tell me what this leaf is? Holly. Okay. Okay. So there isn't very many medicinal, what do you call it, values in holly. It's more ornamental. But how can you tell the difference between a male holly and a female holly tree? Because there are two different types. They both look exactly the same, but how can you tell the difference between the male and the female? I have berries on one side, berries on my left, on my right side. Yes.
There's golden king and a silver queen. I haven't bought a golden king, but it looked like a silver queen. But now, years later, it's gone to golden king.
So it's changed, the
Changed
variation.
instead of silver, and it's gold.
Okay, that's interesting, very interesting. But how you can tell is the female produces the berries and the male doesn't. At the bottom of the tree is where the most stringent or the strongest spikes of the tree exist all around the base. Maybe that's for nature, that's nature's way of protecting the actual tree, because as you go higher up the holly tree, the leaves become a lot softer. So if they're at the top, then there's less chance of them being picked. Remember I said yesterday that plants have some sort of intelligence? I believe that at the end of the day, this is an indication of that. Birch tree. Now we can see the birch tree has very serrated edges, okay? And we can see that the veins are alternate. And we can see also that the color of it is quite a matte green. Okay. This tree, some of you might, some of you may not. I've got a bit on my left for clove, and I've got I've got a maple on my right. Any additions? I'll give you a clue. This tree wears shoes. Horse chestnut. Correct. It's a horse chestnut. Okay. It's not, this is not edible. Okay. Many people make the mistake because we get conkers from this. How many of you made conkers in your younger days? Yeah. Okay. So for those of you that didn't grow up in the UK, round about, I suppose, September, October, we'd go out and we'd look for conkers, these the round fruits or nuts from the tree, and we'd take them back home and we'd put a hole through them and we'd tie strings on them. This was our entertainment, okay? So we didn't have computers and we didn't have all of the luxuries that young people have nowadays, okay? We had to make our own entertainment. And we would make a conker, and then the rule was that you couldn't roast your conker, because roasting your conker made it like concrete and you would be untouchable. So what we did is we made the conker and you would have to use your conker and hit someone else's conker. And as the conkers came together, the weak conkers would split and be forever forgotten. The strongest conker would go in your pocket for the next battle, and then until you lost that battle against someone else. But that is a seed that we, or not a seed, a nut that we get from here. The other one, which is a sweet chestnut, is edible. Okay, and I'll show you the difference between the two right now. So here we have the single leaf from the conker and the horse chestnut. You can see the actual seed covering. Okay, is different to the sweet chestnut. Okay, this one is quite spaced out and prickly, and it's quite bright white on the inside. And the conker itself has a huge center with a horse chestnut colored. And with the sweet chestnut, it's quite cute in its look. It's brown all around with a slight centered here. And what you'll do is you'll just, if you've got one of those crackers that will just split the horse chestnut, you'll put it on a bed of sea salt, put it in the oven, and you'll roast it until they steam up inside, the moisture steams up inside, and then they split open. And once they split open, then you can eat them. Sometimes you'll see, if you go down to South Kensington, you'll see some people selling them. They roast them on the side of the street on their little ovens, and then they sell them by the packet. Look at the leaf to the sweet chestnut compared to the horse chestnut. What would be the most stark difference to them? The edges. The veins are very similar. The shape is quite similar, but it's more of a paddle. And this one is more ovaled, but it's very serrated with spikes on the end, or looks like spikes on the end. Okay? Okay, can anybody tell me what this plant is? Before you shout out the mint, have a good look. This one here, this one here. Okay, do I have any takes on basil? I've had lemon balm. My sister knows her plants. This is lemon balm. What would you say this world one is with the center and the little seeds and the little leaves coming out to mimic? Okay, so I've given you a little clue at the top here. Oregano. Okay. With both of these plants, simply just by touching and you smell them, you will know the difference between the two. How many of you use lemon balm? How many of you use oregano in your cooking?
Is that what
Okay.
we call lemon mint? Lemon balm, is it the same thing?
Lemon balm, lemon mint. I suppose some people would call it lemon mint because it is very similar. It's from the mint family. It's in the mint family.
Yeah.
And if you look at the stem, you can tell mint and its mint family by the actual stem. It's square. The actual stem of it is square. Okay. So you could say that nature introduced the square before mankind did. That's really interesting, isn't it? So again, oregano, lemon balm. This one is mint, but you see how similar they are? Okay, but they do have slight difference. Okay, although lemon balm is opposite as well, but mint is also opposite and it's whorled as well, but it has very specific markings on the outside. And this is fresh parsley. Okay, now remember we looked at the other one which was quite feathered, and this is the other one which I was trying to highlight to you. Okay, specific tastes in herb. Can you tell me what the 5 or 6 tastes are? Starting with the most favorite. Sweet. Okay. We've got bitter, we've got sour. Did I hear, sorry? Spicy peppery is not really, no, but it would you agree pungent? And let's see. And we've said bitter. Salt is could be a taste. Tangy would describe a taste of a particular fruit, etc. But let me put us all out of our miseries. Sweet, spicy, no, it's a taste. It's an aroma, but sweet is a nourishing and calming and cooling taste. When you have herbs that are sweet, they are mainly nourishing, they're normally calming, and they're normally cooling plants. They contain carbs and starches, which attribute to, or the attributes for their sweetness. And they normally support vitality and hydration. So examples of sweet: honey, licorice, the actual herb licorice, grains, root vegetables. Have you ever burst open a carrot and taken that central pencil looking center out of it and chewed on it? It tastes like sugar cane. It's sweet. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So normally sweet foods are calming and relaxing. The sweet flavors can soothe the mind, reduce stress, and support emotional well-being. Definitely. An example, whoops. So sour is the second one. Its characteristic is foods typically have somebody mentioned tangy taste or an acidic flavor. So what are the effects of that on the body? They're astringent. How did I describe astringent? Drawing, pulls things together. If you have astringent herbs have a drawing together and a tightening effect. So if you wanted to have to use a face mask or create a face mask, the best plants to use for a face mask would be an astringent type herb or leaf. And then you would leave that to soak in distilled water, and then you would apply it to the face and allow it to have that tightening effect on the body. Okay, so the effects on the body is astringent and cooling. Sour flavors can help tighten tissue and reduce excessive moisture in the body. Okay, reduce excessive moisture in the body, making them useful for conditions like diarrhea. When you have diarrhea, you take something that's astringent and something that's drying. Excessive sweating or congestion. Anything that causes a blockage in the system is congestion. It's not only congestion, it doesn't only happen in the gut. It can happen in the lymphatic system. What happens if you have congestion in the lymphatic system? Edema. If you have congestion in the blood system, varicose veins, or not varicose, well, varicose veins, sorry, a blockage, heart attack, stroke, and stuff like that. Okay. Okay, it's a digestive, sour is also a digestive stimulant. Sour flavors are believed to stimulate the digestive system by increasing salivation and the production of digestive juices. Okay, examples: lemon, vinegar. I tasted tamarinds for the first time earlier on this year, and I was expecting it to be sour because I was told that tamarinds are sour, but I was shown that the tamarinds that I had were actually sweet. So in the West Indies, tamarinds are quite sweet. Oh, tangy, right? So that's the acidic flavor to it. Okay.
Two types, sweet and sour.
Sweet and sour, perfect. Okay. So, and sour berries, like cranberries. I don't know if you ever go to a restaurant and you ask for cranberry juice, they don't give you the sour cranberry juice that you would be expecting, because a short sip of cranberry juice helps for digestion, but their cranberry juice is very sweet and sugary. So I never ask for it anymore unless I ask them, do you have raw cranberry juice? But they never do. Fermented foods such as sauerkraut and kimchi. So we use sauerkraut and kimchi for the gut and microbiome. Salty. Someone mentioned salty and I paused on it. So I apologize for pausing on that. Characteristics: salty herbs or foods have a briny taste on it. Have you ever tasted Irish moss before you've washed it, or you've got it on your finger? It has that very briny, salty taste. When you get Irish moss in the sea, Irish moss doesn't have all of that salt on it. But when you get it and it's man-made in a huge tank, and they add lots of salt to the water, and they control the water through wave machines to create that synthetic sea-like environment, when the nature is really good, you know, when that Irish moss comes out of the actual sea, or out of their tank and they dry it, it is covered, encrusted with salt. Nature doesn't do that. So if you're quite vigilant, when you go to buy your Irish moss, if you see it and it's not a regular type, have a look on it. And if there's lots of salt in the bottom, salt, you know that that's synthetically created, right? So salty, it's moisturizing and it's hydrating. It helps to retain water and moisture in the body. It's useful for individuals who are dehydrated or have dry skin conditions. Detoxifying and cleansing. Salty foods can help to flush out excess fluids and toxins from the body. Have you ever done a saltwater flush? Okay, so you take a pint of distilled water, you saturate it with salt until the salt ceases to dissolve, and then you drink it down one go. Within an hour. Oh, sorry, I was trying to be kind. Within a few minutes, the salt will just go straight through the system, through the small intestines, large intestines, and out through the system. That's a saltwater flush. It's hydrating, but it's also quite good for people that are that have issues with movement of the gut.
Does the water have to do with salt?
The water, you can use warm water or cool water. Okay, 1 liter. Himalayan salt, or Celtic sea salt.
Don't try it.
But yes,
What did you try then?
How much in the glass?
how much in the glass? Saturate. So you put the salt in the water, and then you stir it till it dissolves. Stir it till it dissolves. So some people put about 2 or 3 tablespoons in it, but you have to make sure it's dissolved. When you do the salt water flush, how do you normally do it?
Okay.
Or if you've done it. Sorry, yeah, if you come up to the front and just explain to everybody.
Yeah, just like you said, I put enough salt in there to get it as salt as possible. Some people say you put enough in there until you mix it out until it can't, yeah, it's saturated, so it cannot dissolve anymore. But others say you put enough, as much as you can tolerate. So yeah, yeah, I've done it, and I just drink it in one go, like just in one go. It's
Yeah.
hard to, it can be very hard because it's very salty.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel, oh wow, like you want to faint, but it's very, very effective. Yeah,
Yeah.
just drink it in one go.
You have to drink some
I-
cool water after that.
No,
And no, because that might dilute it,
So you
and
just drink it and then you wait.
and you
and
wait.
then you wait, and within a few minutes, I'm telling you, it is so sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Eh? What kind of water?
You go to the bathroom.
You go to the toilet.
Number 2, everything. Nothing left behind.
Not on a coach. Not on a coach, yeah?
So yeah, so if you're sharing a room, please don't do it. Huh? Yes, people who are constipated can do that, yeah. Just on that point, if you are constipated or if you're going to the bathroom less than 3 times a day, okay? If you're going to the bathroom, let me say this slowly. If you're going to the bathroom less than 3 times a day, you are constipated. Your bowel movement should, as you eat something, you should release something. If you're eating 2 meals a day and you're going twice a day, then that's fine. But if you're eating 3 meals a day or you're grazing throughout the day and you're only going once a day, more than likely in the morning, each morning, or you're going every other day, you are severely constipated. If any of you have pets, does anybody have dogs? Okay. If you have a dog and you feed the dog, you walk the dog, correct? Because you don't want the dog to do something in your house. So you feed him, you walk him, he releases something because you just put something in, he lets something out. Our system is trained. We train our system. I'm watching the movie. Oh, I want to go. I don't want to miss the scene. Oh, and you train yourself to hold it. When you train yourself to hold it, your system becomes weakened and it's less effective in peristalsis, the movement of your gut. Sometimes people go to work and they're like, I am not going to use the toilet at work. I will wait till I go home. Start work at 8, don't get home till 6. No water's passed through the whole day. What happens to the urinal tract? You can get infection, or you can make it weaker. Okay, so these are practices. I know it's slightly off from the herbs, but these are important things that we should incorporate into our. We have herbs that can encourage that. Yes, definitely. But then what I was going to suggest for constipation was that if you drink a glass of prune juice, for example, 7 o'clock in the morning, 16 ounces, and then at 8 o'clock, you drink an 8-ounce glass of apple juice. And then, for example, at 9 o'clock, you drink a glass of distilled water. And then at 10 o'clock, you rotate it. So 7, 8, 9, you drink prune juice, apple juice, water. At 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, prune juice, apple juice, water. I guarantee you, if you haven't been to the bathroom for a couple of weeks, because there are people that I've spoken to that have been more than 2, more than 3, sometimes more than 4 or 5 weeks, and they have not been able to go to the bathroom. And I say to them, my friend, maybe if you take prune juice, and they're like, I say, prune juice? They go, no, prune juice is, prune juice don't taste so good. Because it does. It has sulfur in it. It has it draws out toxins in the gut, and it also conditions the gut. The apple juice releases malic acid and pectin, and then the distilled water an hour later will help to flush the system. Guarantee you, like the saltwater flush, you will go. Okay, so that's a softer urine. Parsley tea. If I put somebody on a program, I do try to encourage them to drink parsley tea, because parsley tea helps you to release water. It doesn't strip you. It does. These herbs work with your body. If your body is out of balance or out of sync, herbs know exactly what to do in each and every one of your bodies. But later on, we're going to look at the body's constitution, because everybody's constitution is slightly different. In Ayurvedic medicine, they call it, one of the things they call it is pitta, and I don't know if anybody knows the actual phrases that they use for the 3 types of, for heat, for cold, and for moist, and for dryness. But those are the 4 that we use as herbalists. So some people are dry. So no matter what they do with their skin is always dry. Some people are always sweaty and moist and damp. Some people are always hot, and some people are always cold, or like cool. There are specific herbs. For someone that has the same condition, you can use specific herbs for that particular issue. People who are hot, you can give them cooling herbs. For people that are cold, you can give them warming herbs. Okay, so herbs are specific for specific people. Each one of you is different. Okay, stimulation and digestion for salty herbs. Salty herbs are also thought to support healthy digestion by stimulating gastric juices. Example, sea salt, seaweed. Did any of you see the Irish moss on display yesterday? You see what it looks like? And you see how it looks like the inside of a lung? Okay, so that's also good for the respiratory, but it's also rich in all of the minerals that you need to sustain yourself throughout every day. Okay, and salted foods like olives and pickles. Now, the last one is, I think it's the last one. Nope. Pungent, which is spicy. Somebody did mention spicy. Okay, pungent, spicy. Characteristics of these herbs, they have a hot, sharp, or peppery flavor. What are the effects on their body, They stimulate the circulatory system, the blood system. So warm herbs like cayenne pepper, paprika is a derivative of it, but it's very mild. But then you have the Jamaican bird pepper, you have African, you call it cayenne pepper. I think some of the grades, some of you use peppers, which is like 90 IUs and higher. for that same reason, that you want to stimulate the circulatory system, and they can promote sweating. You have herbs which are called hot herbs, like yarrow is a heat herb. It makes you sweat. Okay. Spicy flavors generate heat in the body, making them useful in treating conditions caused by coldness or sluggish circulation. So if you have cold extremities, okay, yarrow, cayenne pepper, and other warming herbs like hot ginger, they will have that warming effect and move the blood system. Okay, and when you couple that with another herb, then you have something called synergy, because the two herbs work together to effect a particular change in the anatomy.
Well, chilies do the same.
Chilies are, I don't really use chilies per se, because chilies are just, but you get a more of an effective, chilies do make you sweat,
Yes.
but on the palate,
Yeah.
there's only so much. But cayenne pepper has a cayenne pepper is nutritional. You have nutritional herbs, and you have herbs that are going to effect a change in the body. So I wouldn't use chili herbs per se. Let me see.
Hot bonnet.
Scotch bonnet peppers as well. But if you notice when, oh, would you like to share your story with us, please?
I'd heard about Scotch bonnet, but I've never seen one. We was in Jamaica and somebody cooked a nice dinner and it was like a little tiny pumpkin. I looked round and I thought, ooh, I like it. I thought nobody else has got one. So I waited till last, I bit into it. I tell you, I got a high note batter.
Fire.
I got a fire, yes, that's fire. She looked like a rabid dog. I've never seen one. How did I know what it looked like? She ran to the bathroom and the Lord said to me, aloe vera. And we got a drink of aloe vera. I gave it and it stopped it straight a minute. Straight. Yeah. Right, stop the fire. Straight, just as she drank it, stopped it.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
That's beautiful.
yeah, never take that one.
So if you're making a note,
I didn't know what it looked like.
cool.
We was in a strange country, you see, so we didn't know the delicacy of the land, you see.
So you took a chance.
And another thing, if we've been eating garlic, we used to take 2 people to work. Now, if we've been eating garlic, they tell us, if we chew parsley after we'd eaten raw parsley after eating garlic, we never said a word. No.
So aloe vera is an antidote to Scotch bonnet pepper. So those of you that are listening at home, if you're in the kitchen and you're cooking your Xmas meal or your New Year's dinner, and somebody doesn't have a liking for pepper, make sure that you have your aloe vera. So you're going to lose some of the arms of your aloe vera plant today. And also, when you take your aloe vera plant, make sure that you steep it in water to get rid of the lactic acid that's in the actual skin, or the acid.
Keep aloe vera in the skin in water.
You stick the aloe vera in the water once you cut it, and then the excess will run out. So that brown fluid that's very bitter will run out. Some people keep it in, but if you're using it for therapeutic or you're using it to eat, then people wash it off and then they use the gel, blend the gel, and then they eat it. Okay. And the 6th taste is oh, sorry, sister. Yes, sister, come.
For instance, if I grow aloe vera and I know that they are very tender, can I blend it with the gel together and take it?
If they're very tender.
Yeah, they're young.
I normally use the leaves that are you call it quite. Once the leaves get to a certain size, quite a large size, then I cut them and I use them. I don't use when they're small.
Yeah.
I don't normally use them. I let them grow a bit more before I actually start to cut them and use them. But sometimes you can go to the stores and you can buy the full length aloe vera. It's aloe vera barbandensis, which is the one which we use for herbalism and for eating. But most of them you can use for external uses, etc. Thank you very much. Does anybody who grows aloe vera? How many of you that grow it actually use it? Okay, good. Sorry? No, it doesn't destroy it. It stimulates the growth because from one of my plants, I cut it. At my old church in London, they threw away an aloe vera plant and it looked like it was going to die. And I went and I asked the elder if I could have it. And I took it home. And after I started to nurture it, from that one plant, I got something like 30 odd pups. And I potted each and every one of them, and they all grew it very quickly into larger plants. And I brought one up here with me, and I've got it sitting on the windowsill. And to tell you the truth, I've neglected it. I feed it once in a blue moon, but it's very fat and it's very healthy. And where it's situated, it loves it. So where you put your plants, don't move your plants around all the time. They don't like to be moved. They do, you're right. They don't like it. They have some sort of magnetic like ability to where they are. And if you move them, it can actually disrupt their growth. Okay, so find a nice space.
If we put it like in the sun, it goes kind of yellowy.
Yes.
But it likes it in our shed.
Yeah.
It's only in the shed.
In the shed. Right. Okay. So the shade. And it fries.
Yeah,
And it
shed
fries.
garage. That's why it likes it.
Okay. Yeah, because they do come from an arid country. And basically not watering them is not going to do them any harm. So you water them once in a blue moon, and they will thrive same way. Yes, sir?
That's the aloe vera that is being nurtured in the houses.
Yes.
What equally the same with the ones in Africa which grow in the forest.
Well, the thing is that when plants are grown in the wild, we call those plants wildcrafted. Okay, there are different grades. You've got standardized herbs which are grown in controlled conditions, and then you've got organic, and then you've got commercial, then you've got pharmaceutical, and then you've got wildcrafted. Wildcrafted are plants that it's growing over there. Leave it alone. When it's ready to be picked or used, you use it. No chemicals, no herbicides, no pesticides. It looks after itself. But when you have standardized herbs, the standardized herbs are conditioned by us, whoever it is that's growing them, to have certain strengths and potencies. Pharmaceutical herbs, grade herbs, they are very pungent and very pungent. They're very potent, but they are very potent for the use that they want to use it for in general. Okay, so those are like the 4 or 5 grades of types of herbs. Wildcrafted is always better. Yeah, Siberian ginseng, they say that they go and they pick it and they leave it out in the wild. They don't spray it or with anything. They let nature look after itself. It has all of the tools. It has all of the bodyguards. It has all of the armor. It has all of the sensory things that it needs to protect itself. God has endowed it with the alkaloids. It's all right. For example, in nature, you'll see the Serengeti, and you'll see wild buffaloes, hundreds of thousands of them, all grazing. And then they will all move forward, and the last ones will be at the back, and then you'll see the grass has been eaten. Why have they not eaten the grass right the way down to the ground? Because they like it. Because when it reaches a certain level, the plant releases tannins that they don't like. So they move on to fresh pastures, and the first one will move far enough ahead so that the last can start grazing at the beginning of the next. They're organized. Okay. So once they've grazed that down, they won't return back to that field until it is replenished. Whereas when we go and we see a group of buffaloes and we think, beef, we don't take one. We take the whole herd, and what do we do with them? Chop, 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 freeze, freeze, freeze. And there's nothing on the horizon. Nature looks after itself, and nature is quite organized. Okay. The next herb that we've got, or next type that we've got, is astringent. So this is not necessarily a specific taste, but it's considered an additional. Okay, so the characteristics, as we spoke about before, is that it has a dry, puckering taste. So also it's tightening and tonifying. The astringent taste helps to tone and tighten tissues. Sorry, sister. Yes, please. Would you like to come?
Since you are talking about herbs, I would like to ask about mushroom. There are some mushrooms that are poisonous. There are some people in my country who ended up in hospital and some died after receiving the
Yeah.
mushrooms from the forest. How can you?
There are different types of mushrooms. I don't know about all of them, but we have those mushrooms that they sell, which are the white mushrooms, the button, what the full term is, button nose or button mushrooms, the oyster mushrooms also, and we have the lion's mane mushroom. Now, I use my lion's mane mushroom on people that have dementia, Alzheimer's, because it is very effective and it has properties in it that are very useful. Some people don't use it or won't use it because it's from the fungi family type thing. Some people eat mushrooms and they use it as a substitute for meat. But how to tell the poisonous ones from the ones that you can't eat, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look into that for you and come back to you on that one. But yeah, so you do get the ones that come up under mold and stuff, and they spring up overnight, and you wake up in the morning, you see lots of them. Toadstools. Sometimes they have like markings on them, like round a circle within a circle. Sister. See, now some people say yay and some people say nay. I would say, to be on the safe side, nay. Yeah, but then it's. I mean, Elder, what would you say about mushrooms in terms of? I mean, it's a case where it's not a direct. It's
What is mushrooms?
they're fungi, and they're scavengers and they feed on decaying matter.
Okay, so that's if you pick them up from there. But mushrooms can be homegrown.
Yeah, they can be homegrown.
They can be homegrown.
Yeah.
And I eat mushrooms.
Mhm.
I love mushrooms. We were planning to grow them now. We should grow them back home. And we grow them. And if those who want to eat mushrooms, oyster mushrooms is the tastiest mushroom.
Okay, oyster mushrooms taste this
Oyster
mushroom.
mushroom.
Right.
So it depends on where they're grown.
Yes.
But
Hold on, I've got 2 questions at the back.
you have to have, we talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, my brother in the white.
Yeah, because restricted silent about this and.
If the scripture is silent about it, sorry, I'm repeating what you're saying for the mic.
Can't just say that when this they decide not to keep it, then we follow that. We have to go out for it. If the scripture doesn't condemn it, then.
Yeah.
I think that then-
So you use your own, so
We have to use wisdom equally,
yes,
not to just go and eat animal food.
exactly, yeah. So if the scriptures doesn't mention, what my brother was saying is if the scripture doesn't mention anything about it per se, it's not to make the judgment as to eat or not to eat. Is that what you're saying? Yes. My brother,
We started they connected in Oxford actually.
sorry, repeat for me, please.
We started they connected in Oxford many years ago. I don't know which mushrooms they had tested and found that they are not good for consumption. It may be the mushrooms that they picked up from, where there was garbage or anything.
Yeah,
But because with that, they said the ones that grow on barks of trees, they are good for food.
the ones that grow on the barks of trees.
Yes.
Okay.
Those mushrooms that come out of the stumps of the trees.
Out of the, right, so the ones that grow on the trees, from out the trees, they're good for food, but the ones that come from the stump of the tree,
All
They're-
those, they are good ones.
those are good
And
ones.
so I believe the study they made was, because that came, it was like, and everybody in the church, because of that study, stopped eating mushrooms.
Okay,
Because they couldn't tell the difference between those that grow in the bark of the tree and those that grow in the stump.
right, okay,
So
right, okay,
it's
so.
not just a blanket.
Yeah, it's not just a blanket thing. I know. I mean, we had a similar conversation about the animals as well, like duck and swan from the same family, et cetera, But my brother in the back there. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering, see, the fungi, so we have to ask ourselves, a mushroom, is it a plant or is it not a plant? If it's a plant, and sometimes it can be found in the garbage, sometimes in the forest, sometimes growing on a tree trunk, then we have to use kind of the same judgment to think that if you grow, let's say, grapes they can grow by themselves and they can do very well flourish,
Yes,
but you don't eat them.
no,
But the same greens can grow somewhere else, which is fertile and which is looked after.
because you're looking at the environment.
Environment, you can eat them. And also, we look at trees and, horticulture and vegetables that we grow. You can grow them with the manure from the cows,
Of course.
which you wouldn't necessarily eat.
Well, you
Chicken.
could people use chicken manure
Yeah.
in their
No, no, I mean,
their
like, you can't eat the manure itself.
no, you don't, but the
When you
plant.
put the plants,
Of course.
afterwards you eat.
Yeah, of course, yes,
And,
yes.
think on those lines.
Yes.
But the green plants, apparently they are very selective. God has created that in them. They don't pull out anything that,
Yeah,
that we shouldn't eat. That's something that has also been proven.
Well, that is I suppose that is a debate that we can have.
Yeah.
You guys should come to the front.
Yes, I just say one thing.
Sure.
So you said come to the front, so let me say it from the front.
So Zoom can do it.
Thank you very much.
I think we need to keep in mind that the times we're heading to. If we restrict what you can eat and what you can't eat, what is clean and unclean, it has to be based on the Bible, like the brother said.
Yes.
And when the Bible doesn't spell it out, you have to use
Wisdom.
wisdom that the Lord has given us. And that is why you should know where it is grown, how it is grown, like how Peter is talking about.
Mhm.
And that is the key, because from where it is grown, it takes what is there, and that causes you problems. So if you home grow it, that is safe. But my point is, when the time of trouble comes, when you cannot buy and sell, these are things that grow in no time. Mushrooms pop up like pop-ups. You wake up in the morning, oh, there's a mushroom. I'm telling you, that's the best food to eat in the time of trouble. I mean, growing for yourself. You understand what I'm saying? We have to plan what we're going to eat in the time of trouble and try beginning to eat them now.
Thank you very much. Does it mention?
Yeah, mine.
Sorry, would you like to come?
My,
You can come out and comment.
I think we took all your time.
yeah, it's almost there. My question is, we agree that mushroom is a fungus.
Yeah.
And there's no plant which is a fungus.
No.
So how do we feed the fungus so that we can eat the fungus? Because,
Yeah.
but the fungus is not a plant.
Can I tell you how you grow a fungus? Not a fungus, mushroom.
Mushroom.
All you need is hay and water.
Hay and water.
That's all you need.
Okay.
But it's a
Abs-
fungus.
It's a fungus.
That's the key. It's a fungus.
Fungi, yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I think that
Okay.
everybody decide what they want to eat or not to eat.
Okay. Right. So that's a discussion or a debate for a fuller discussion for clarity for another day. Okay, so the one taste astringents. So astringents are anti-inflammatory. Many astringent herbs are used to reduce inflammation and to promote tissue healing. Examples of astringent herbs are green tea, pomegranate, unripe banana. Has anybody eaten the skin or eaten unripe banana?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're bitten into the skin and all of a sudden your tongue and your teeth stick together and they're like, not moving. That's astringency. Okay, so if you want to see what, has anybody not tasted something astringent, highly astringent? Nope, so everybody has tasted something like what we've described as astringent, like the banana, the starchy side from the banana, which is drying on the mouth. That is example of astringent. Raw apples and oak bark. I would advise everybody to taste oak bark, white oak bark. Okay, even to drink it, to swish it around your mouth, and then to swallow it. And if you've got any issues with the gums, to take the herbs, powder the herbs, or take the dried herbs, put them all along your gums, and they will heal your gums of whatever issues you have with your gums. You keep it on for as long as you like. I mean, like some people keep it on overnight, some people keep it in there for a few days. And once it's stopped its astringency, then you take it out and you put new. Okay. So I would say just to make sure you've got the same potency It's like every couple of days. If you've got it up there, you can do it every night. Take it out, wash it out, take it out, wash it out, and replace it each time. Okay. The one taste. Sorry? You can buy it online. White oak bark, you can buy the white oak bark teas. Okay, so that's the white oak bark tea. Okay. And that's for those online. It's by Celebrations. And it's ethically well crafted. So they say that there's no interference with it. It's caffeine free. It's a herbal tea, and it's white oak bark. So even if you wanted to buy the tea, and you took the tea bag itself, you could take the contents of the tea bag, and use that around your gums. All right. Okay, so no, you do it fresh. Yeah. you as a matter of fact, the sisters raised a good point here. When you all drink herbal teas, you take the tea bag, you drop it in the cup, and then after a few minutes, you take it out and you throw away the tea bag. You leave it in the tea. How long do you leave it in there for? Until you finish. How many of you reuse it and make another cup of teas? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, many. All right. How many of you actually eat the contents of the tea bag? Oh, why is everybody throwing up their foreheads like saying? If you have, come to front, sis.
Can I say that once I've reused it, guess what? I give it to my plants.
Okay.
That's what I do. I
Yeah.
give it to my plants.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're making teas or you're making, what's wrong? You're saying no.
Oh, I'm saying nothing is thrown away.
No, nothing's thrown away. After you've used, this is what you throw. This is the parts of the plants that you use, and these are the parts that you throw away. Okay. You use the roots. You can use the roots. You can use the stems. You can use the leaves. You can use the fruits that come from it and the seeds that come from it. You can use the flowers and the seeds that come from in the flowers. Sometimes saffron. You have the stylus that you take from the. That's the only part of it that you can use from the crocus saffron. Everything else, you throw away. What's left? Right. So basically, you can use the whole, every part of the plant. When you're making your teas, your herbal teas, you can use things like this, loose leaf, and then you can put it into something like this. Ignore the onion, it's just there for aesthetics, or for cosmetics. So you can use something like this, and you put the herbal tea inside there if you want to drink the tea, free from bits and pieces. And then sometimes what you can do, like what my sister does, is take out the residue and empty it around your plants. In nature, once the plants or the leaves drop to the ground, they get reabsorbed, and then they condition the ground for more growth. Okay, but then what you can do is, after you finish with it, is literally take it and then you can chew it and eat it. Why take it in? Why use it for just a few moments and to get a few moments of benefit from it when you can use it again or eat it or feed it to your plants? You're making full use. You're making full use of it. The one taste that everybody hates, that everybody should have and should swap for the sweet, is the bitter. Okay, so bitter characteristics of foods have a sharp, intense flavor. Bitter herbs are commonly used for their detoxifying and purifying properties. The effects on the body: cleansing, detoxifying, cooling, and drying. How much time have I got here? What time is it now? 7 minutes past. Okay. So cleansing and detoxifying. Bitter herbs have stimulant liver functions. All bitter herbs. I don't know if you guys know is it Swedish bitters?
Yeah.
Or you know the Jamaican bitters? Or you know the drinks, the tonic.
Philippines, that area.
Okay, so they have the bitters. Some of these bitters, some people say it tastes like sin. You take it, you go into some sort of, yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, But the fact is that that has a direct effect on your digestive system. Digestion begins in the mouth and digestion takes place in the gut. So when you're drinking or you're eating bitter foods, they stimulate gut function. Okay. They're also detoxifying, and they help the body to eliminate waste. Most of you that haven't had something bitter, if you do have something bitter, I guarantee you that shortly afterwards you will go to the bathroom because it has that type of effect on you. Sis?
Does Marmite count?
No.
No, Marmite does not count as bitter. Not at all. So basically, cooling and drying bitter, Marmite, you know. Bitter flavors are thought to cool and dry the body, making them helpful for conditions involving excess heat or inflammation. Dandelion, kale, bitter melon, turmeric in small amounts, and gentian root. Gentian root is very, very bitter. Okay, I think I have some here. So at some stage, you're going to taste gentian root. Gentian root is Gentian. Gentian. It's an astringent herb, so we use that for, I'm not sure what most people use it for, but it's for digestive tract issues. No, gentian. Ginseng is Ginseng. That's a tonic. That's a tonifying herb, which gives you energy. And for men and women, it helps with the reproductive system, and it supports the body's it's a stimulant, not stimulant, sorry. It's an adaptogenic herb. So it supports the body in stress, but it also energizes you. And with ginseng, you can't OD on ginseng. And when I say OD, you can't overdose on it because excess, well, the body will get rid of. And it's a bit like vitamin C. Whenever you're taking vitamin C, you take vitamin C until you have a bowel movement, loose bowel movement. Once you have a loose bowel movement, you know that your body is vitamin C saturated. A bit like the salt water, you saturate the salt water till no more can be absorbed. Your body is the same with vitamin C. So I know you was going to ask how much. You take as much as you need to go to the bowel, to go to the toilet. Once you've taken, you make sure that the amounts that you're taking are controlled amounts so that you know how much you're taking. So if you're taking a level teaspoon 3, 4, 5 times a day, and at the end of the day you have a bowel movement, then you cut back, and each day you will now take 2 or 3 to maintain that level. With the government, they have a recommended daily amount. But if your constitutional, your level is this low, and you're taking the recommended daily amount, you're only going to fluctuate between here and there. But if you're saturated with good foods, nutrients, and nourishment, and then you're taking the RDA amount for your age or your size or whatever, you're going to fluctuate around about here. So in order to do those recommended daily amounts, you need to bring yourself up to standard and then use the recommended daily amount. You can't be deficient and then use the recommended daily amount because you'll still be inefficient or deficient. Sorry, there was someone who had their hand up over here. Sis?
If I'm taking tablets.
If you're taking tablets for vitamin C, okay, so I'm not even going to give a statement on that one because most people like to buy vitamin C in those little long tubes. Is that pure vitamin? Ask yourself, is that pure vitamin C? Yeah, no, I'm not talking to you directly. I'm just asking in general. It's not pure vitamin C. It has lots of other chemicals or compounds in it as well. So if you were to take, say, if it's 1,000 milligrams per tablet, and you say, well, my health person told me to take 2,000 milligrams or 3,000, and you take 3 of those, the other compounds are going to build up in your system and could cause a problem. If you're going to take pure vitamin C, find a herbalist, a naturopath, or a natural health practitioner, and they will give you something like ascorbic acid mixed with camel, rubius, and MSM. What you call it? That combination will give you a good amount of pure vitamin C. okay? But if you're taking the commercial ones, they're designed to just give you a touch of vitamin C, okay? Look up how much vitamin C. Humans are the only people on the planet Earth, and primates are the only people on Earth that have to take vitamin C from a tree. All other animals make vitamin C inside them. A goat makes vitamin C. When he's stressed, vitamin C, please. Vitamin C. It's done. All other animals. When quarter past. Right. So in nature, we have to find our vitamin C from the tree. I'm going to quickly go through some plants and just for viewing's sake. This is a herb called borage. I'm not going to go through all their properties. Some of them you might know, but witch hazel is this yellow one here on the right hand side. Okay, witch hazel is a very potent plant that we use for. It's an astringent. This one here is Vitex cactus, okay, which is a female support herb, and these are the Vitex cactus berries. If you have hormone imbalance, okay, this is a very good herb to take. Okay, you can't OD on it. Some people tell you, oh, you take it for 3 months and you have to stop. No, you don't. You can take it. You're not going to OD on it. Okay. Okay, this one here, slippery elm. You see slippery elm, the bark? You can, I can't remember which soldier or which general took his army to war, and they were very low on food, and well, as a matter of fact, they didn't have any food. And they found the slippery elm bark, and they survived eating the bark, boiling the bark, making a gruel from the bark of the slippery elm tree. Okay, so this is very nourishing. And it's also very healing to the gut. If you have ulcers, then slippery elm is your best friend. And the type of ulcers, you call it gut ulcers, like in the wall of your intestines, or in the stomach, I should say. This is not made from the actual animal. Cat's claw, okay? So basically, this is another herb that a lot of herbalists use, but you can see the striking colors and the leaves that relate to that plant. So if you get used to using that for whatever use it is, I can't remember the actual use for it, but the leaves are very striking. So once you've seen this, you will know. This one here grows in some of our gardens and we don't realize it. Can anybody tell me what that might be? Lily of the Valley. I call it LOL, laugh out loud. It's Lily of the Valley. And this one over here, you got loads of it. Oh my gosh, you need to share some with your brothers and sisters, man. Or even let them plant it and grow it. It's a beautiful smelling. It smells so refreshing. It's unbelievable. And Lily of the Valley of Heart. This one here is black cohosh. So if you have black cohosh, blue cohosh, and a couple of other herbs, and you use it as drops in the ear, if you have hearing issues, or you have damage to your the bone in the ear, or you're deaf, people have used a combination of these herbs to bring back the hearing, because they work on the central nervous system, on the nerves in the body. They rebuild the herbs. If something is damaged in your body and you give it what it needs, when the body is regenerating itself, then the herb will support the growth or the renewal of new cells. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic. If you take ashwagandha for 2 or 3 weeks, you'll begin to see the benefits of it. Okay, it's a very good herb. It helps with the adrenals. It helps with stress and anxiety. Does anybody know what this one is? This is Prunella vulgaris and wood betony. This is the one, Prunella is the one I was telling you, Prunella vulgaris. It's called heel all. You might know it as healer all. In the West Indies, they call heel all the plant, but you can use it for almost anything and everything. Okay, you make a tea with it. This one here is bright yellow here, and you use the actual seeds, and they come out with the plant, and it comes out this rich red. and this one is St. John's wort. Okay, you do have to exercise caution when using it. People that are depressed or that remember we looked at the oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. Okay, so this is a herb that will help with that and balance you out. So the difference is some people mistake these two plants. This is mullein leaf and foxglove. Okay, that's mullein leaf plant. This is the dried herb. Okay, this is a dried herb. So it looks completely different when it's dried. But the mullein leaf leaves are very soft and feathery. And back in the day, people say that they used to use them as toilet roll because it was that soft. But it's a bit like lamb's ear. Have you ever touched lamb's ear? Or even the other plant, Angelica sinensis. It's a beautiful silvery colored leaf. Angel's wings. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't have a picture of it, but it's a beautiful plant and it's very soft. No, angel's wings is just an ornamental plant, but foxgloves it's called digitalis. It's poisonous, but people but don't mix the two up because some people do get them mixed up. Mullein leaf, expectorant, it helps to remove. And when you add, what would you add with mullein leaf to make it warm you up and to break down mucus and remove mucus? If mullein leaf is going to do the mucus removal, what would you use with it to heat it up? Okay, so well, you could do if you're deficient or if you want to add an extra mineral, but for chesty issues, mullein leaf, cayenne, and fenugreek. You guys are going to make that in one of the workshops. So I've got the herbs for it. We're going to and the capsules. So you guys are going to do that for me later on. Okay, so mullein leaves, they're fuzzy and they're soft. They're covered in fine hairs. The flowers are small and yellow. They have 5 petals and they grow in long, dense spikes like a lance. They're biennial leaves or plants, meaning that they lay down roots as a foundation. They have very, 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 very deep tap roots. Most plants that have tap roots, they go down very deep and they come into contact with the minerals and the nutrients deep in the soil. Okay, they can grow 1 to 2 meters tall, and that's the mullein leaf. Ginger, we know ginger is a stimulating herb. It helps to regulate the heart, and basically it's an excellent for nausea and pregnancy. Drinking the tea hot will warm you up. Drinking the drink cold cools you down. This is one we spoke about. Okay, aloe barbensis, yes. It's aloe vera gel, has antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral effects, and helps to heal minor wounds. Liver disorders, used with turmeric powder, you can take it twice a day. The body and disease. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. If you violate the physical laws of health, then you will find yourself in an issue of ill health. If you are sick, the case should be looked into very closely, and any unhealthful conditions should be changed. Any habits that you are doing which is incorrect or not conducive to health should be stopped. Then nature, as in with fevers, as with when you're sick, you don't eat when you're sick. You don't force someone to eat when they're sick. Some people say, oh, you're sick, you must eat. No, because the body wants to heal. And if you eat, all of the energy is going to go towards digestion and not healing. Does that make sense? Okay, nature is to be assisted in her efforts to expel impurities and to reestablish rightful conditions in the system. If you're going to help nature to expel impurities, fasting is the best way to actually get rid of that. The Bible talks about fasting. When the Bible talks about fasting, it hasn't got anything to do with actually the food itself. It's the process of fasting, self-denial, and leaving yourself open so that your body, soul, and mind can be more functional or more accepting. When you, I don't know if any of you have done any elongated fasts, but you find that you have clarity of mind when you're fasting. And then when you've, has anybody been to don't put up your hands, has anybody been to a all-you-can-eat buffet? I don't want to see no hands. I can see the smiles from some people, sunshine smiles. But the fact is that when you do and you eat, you've oversaturated the system, and then the mind doesn't work properly, the body is over extended, and then you can have issues if that's a regular course of action. I had a hand over here. Yes, sister?
Aloe vera, Australia,
Aloe vera.
yeah, you've got a flower, I just saw the flower, I just cut it off and throw it, what can you do with it? I
Le-
use a plant that I've seen flowers, but because it's so big.
Yeah.
It's the only one that have flowers, one of them.
Well, if you've got
What
flower,
can you do with the flowers?
I don't know what you can do with the flower because the actual leaf itself is where all of the energy is. With many plants, sometimes it's the root, ginger. Sometimes it's the leaves, aloe vera, mullein leaf. Sometimes it's the seeds, but they all have
The flowers, the
properties.
seeds in it.
No, the flower, I don't know what the flower, you can use the flower for, the flowering head for in aloe vera, but it's the leaf that is actually good. We can look into that for you and see, okay? I'm gonna stop there now, because my time is up. When we go through our practical, we're gonna look at dosage and why your herbs might not be working for you, okay? Okay, thank you very much, brothers and sisters, and thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Brother Gayle. Anybody wants to try fresh cranberries? After the prayer and nearly close, there's some cranberries, here. Fresh cranberries, sour, good for the digestion.
Thank you, Brother Gayle. I think we live in the UK and in winter, we struggle because there's no vitamin C here. So I will ask him to maybe explain to us how we can obtain vitamin D without him prescribing a holiday for us. How do you obtain vitamin D in the UK without you prescribing a holiday for me? You'll have to answer when you come back. He's got another workshop in the afternoon, so that question is important. Yeah, thank you, everyone, and I'd like to thank Brother Gayle for that presentation. I've learned a lot about herbs. That means we always have to leave a room for learning, really. We'll have a word of prayer now, and then we'll close. Sister Gayle, please, launch us.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the presentation. Lord, it's not Richard's presentation, it's yours. But we learned so much from you. Help us to learn more about what we can do to help our bodies, Lord. I pray that you be with us as we depart now. Help us not to depart from your heart. We thank you for your blessing. These things I pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you, sis. The stalls are open at the back until 12 o'clock, and then we'll come back for the presentation at 12. Thank you, everyone.